Hey folks, thanks for tuning in today. My name is Matt Crape. I'm a Senior Technical Product Marketing Manager here at Veeam, and I am joined with Sean from Nutanix. Sean, why don't you give the viewers a quick introduction about yourself?
Hey, Matt, thanks for having me today. I'm really excited to talk to you at this fireside chat without the fire. Sean Donahue, I am with Nutanix and I'm a solutions evangelist. I focus a lot on EUC, end user compute, and then our partner program as well. So excited to be talking to our partners.
Awesome. For those of you who may not be fully aware, Veeam and Nutanix, we've had a very tight relationship now for going on almost, 10 years. Started off supporting the hypervisor, and it's just grown since then in capabilities. But more than anything, we're seeing a ton of interest and ton of development being done in the capabilities on both sides with, well, let's face it, the elephant in the room. With Broadcom coming in and shaking things up in the industry. Sean, you must be seeing so much in the field as far as the changes that are happening.
Oh, it's so dynamic. In 10 years, has it really been 10 years? That's longer than my first marriage, I think. But yeah, it's really just such a dynamic environment that people are, coming out of this haze, this fog of hypervisor lock-in that they've been trapped in for a long time, and now they're coming into the sunlight and they're seeing that there are other hypervisors out there, and they're not beholden just to ESX anymore. They can look at other hypervisors. For example, Nutanix has a great hypervisor, Nutanix AHV, and it's really, beautiful to see people realize that I'm not locked into just ESX anymore. And with all the uncertainty that is happening around the Broadcom developments and the licensing changes and really the changes to the partnership program. That's why I was so excited to talk to our partners today, because they're living it, man. They are living it and breathing it, and they know what's going on with the VCSP partner program and the October 31st deadline that passed and expired, and all the limitations and expirations that happened there. And that's where I really like to talk to partners about finding stable ground, and getting into partner programs that offer them a little bit more than uncertainty and scare tactics, so to speak. So yeah, that's it's really refreshing to see.
Yeah, I like that you brought up the whole vendor lock-in thing because that's been such a hot topic for us here at Veeam. Once again, especially with all the VMware Broadcom stuff going on,
Yeah.
is a lot of customers are surprised to learn how many other hypervisors we actually support. So, like he's been on the list for quite a while. It's a very mature offering that we have directly AHV if you would like.
Yeah.
And from there, it's even a matter of you don't need to worry about accessing your old backups once you do make the change to the new hypervisor. So if you need to
Yeah.
hold on to them for compliance reasons, we keep that data unlocked. So there's some real tight synergies that we're able to offer there. Now, the other thing that we kind of touched on a little bit, but is the breadth of workloads. So I know Nutanix was very popular when it came down to VDI, and that's kind of where we see a lot of common use cases. But that's
Mhm.
not the only use case. You still see it being run in production for all sorts of things.
Oh yeah, it's you really look at, and our partners that are out there. You started on infrastructure, and maybe it was infrastructure as a service, and that's your bread and butter. That's your foundation. But if you look at all of the solutions that are available, that you can really sell enhanced and value driven and really differentiated solutions up the stack, like you were talking about. It's not just it's not just VMs anymore, but we're talking about containers, the cloud native apps, Kubernetes or K8s as the hip kids call it, but databases as well. And you look at all of those services now and those value added solutions that are available to our partner ecosystem and that they can then provide to their customers. They still need to protect them and get a unified backup and recovery strategy across the virtual environment, the physical environment, the cloud workloads that they're doing, and really get into that consistent protection. And that's where I love the marriage of Veeam and Nutanix, is that we both have as our North Star simplicity in simplifying enterprise IT. And whether it's from, migrating hypervisors, we have solutions and tools that are available for that, or it's, day two operations and backup and recovery. And it's really taking the headache out of it from an IT administrator's perspective. And that's what I love is yes, we've got the foundation. The infrastructure is proven, it's been there forever and a day, but now we got to start looking up the stack. And this is my visual interpretation of looking up the stack. So we're looking up the stack all the way up to, yes, you guessed it, AI, enterprise AI being a solution that you obviously have to pay attention to and have to consider when you're looking at your new infrastructure, your new enterprise environment.
Oh, absolutely. We'd be remiss if we didn't say AI at least seven
Yeah.
times throughout this. From the Veeam side, though, I've seen some actually what I want to call very credible use cases for AI. So we've built it
Mm-hmm.
into, threat detection, we're building into anomaly detection. But one of the things I actually love most is, for example, with our Veeam intelligence, you could go in there and ask it a real world question. You could say, hey, for whatever reason, maybe this backup job is failing, or how come this backup
Yep.
didn't run? How come this VM wasn't backed up as part of this policy driven job? And you could get back a real world answer. And the great thing is, it's not judgmental. It's not going to say, oh, that's a silly question, I'm going to tell your boss about it. But rather,
We
you're
listen
able
and
to,
we don't judge.
exactly, you're able to have that almost conversation with it. I would love to
Yeah.
hear your take on AI and where you see it fitting in.
It fits in everywhere. I was just having this conversation with myself because I didn't have any friends around me, but I had the conversation with myself. AI is going to become ubiquitous. It's going to become the spell checker in Word for Windows. We used to have to add, I'm going way back now. This is way back beyond most people's recollection, but we used to have to add in, tools like spell check, thesaurus, and all that stuff. And now they're just there. It's autocorrect and everything else. And I think AI is going to become that for the enterprise. It's just going to be a foregone conclusion that the solution is going to be there. And that's where I love Veeam integrating AI into their solutions. Nutanix obviously has Nutanix Enterprise AI, or NAI, as we call it, because we have to have a three-letter acronym, giving you the foundation and the infrastructure to deploy your AI applications. And some of the things that we do in enterprise AI really permeate across our solutions, but also, as you mentioned before, Veeam solutions, as well as the ability to choose. And that choice is really critical. But you have choice when it comes to AI. And that's really the thing I love the most about Nutanix AI, is that you can choose your LLM. So yes, we've got repositories with integrations with Hugging Face or NVIDIA if you want to pull LLMs from them. But if you go down the corner and you buy an LLM from some guy in a windowless white van, you could do that too, and you can deploy that LLM in your environment. It's all about choice of Kubernetes, choice of VMs, choice of LLMs, choice across the board. I would not recommend that, by the way. Don't buy an LLM from the guy in the van.
Well, let's say hypothetically somebody did do that, and they
Yeah.
deploy it and they realize, yeah, you know what, maybe something sketchy is going on here. What sort of capabilities does Nutanix have to actually sort of start detecting threats from rogue white van LLM models that you might be deploying?
Well, that was a long walk for that one. Um, what I love, thank you for asking, because I love talking about this solution that we have called Data Lens. Now, we've got this grander solution, this greater solution called Nutanix Unified Storage, which is all about high performance, scalable storage and backup repositories. And Veeam leverages, that Nutanix snapshots for the fast, efficient backups. But it's also about the added extra security and sleep at night with Data Lens. And Data Lens is our ransomware malware solution that we have that doesn't just look at the signature files of the malware ransomware, but it also looks at the activity. So if it's anomalistic behavior, and Data Lens picks up on quick rapid changes, bulk changes to files, bulk downloads of files, whatever the anomalistic behavior happens to be. Data Lens kicks off and says, okay, something's going on here. We have to stop this from happening, and we have to block it from growing across the network, so micro segmentation, and then we have to roll it back to the last known good to get us back up and running as quick as possible. But I know that when we talk about this, Veeam's got this thing, because I've had this experience, Matt, and we get infiltrated with malware ransomware. We recover from a tape backup. Okay, so that's how long the
Hmm.
story goes back. So I, go to my tape carousel and I pull out one of my backup tapes. This happened in the 90s, by the way. I'm aging myself, or dating myself, whatever. And I restore from a backup that actually had that malware ransomware in it. So
Whoops.
now I'm backing up an infected. Yeah, something's broken in that model, and I was so elated to learn of Veeam's protection against that.
Yeah, absolutely. We've got, some great capabilities, and we're able to detect, for example, anonymous behavior at the time of backup. Maybe there were a few encrypted blocks yesterday, but today there's a ton of them. We can actually start flagging those things, mark backups as suspicious, so that you're aware when you do perform that recovery, hey, something's going on. And when we perform that recovery, we could perform it into a clean room. We could perform it into Azure if you want to use that as your clean room. We're able to perform scans, whether it's signature-based scans, Yara scans. So where I'm going with this is between Nutanix and Veeam, we've got this really, really strong story. You hear about security in depth. And this is a
Yeah,
fantastic example of being able to layer that security in at each and every stage of your data's life cycle.
yeah,
Then, something you touched on earlier is vendor ecosystem, right? Nutanix has a ton of partners in the ecosystem. Same with Veeam, especially when it comes to security integrations and all that. And I bring that up in the sense of so often that can be overlooked when you're evaluating a new solution. How does it fit into our current environment? Not just from the, will this hypervisor do the trick, or are we going to
right.
get the performance that we need? It's also, does our security team, can they plug into this easily enough? Does it unlock new capabilities? So
Yeah.
there's a lot that needs to be, kind of addressed and, figured out with all that. And with the Veeam and the Nutanix solution, like that's a really strong checkbox that we could check.
Yeah, it's that it's that again, the ability to be going back to the origin here, hypervisor agnostic and hardware agnostic, and really, to your point, looking at an ecosystem of players that are API driven. And AHV is an API driven hypervisor for integrations with solutions like Veeam. And Veeam really capitalizes on that ability to get as tight as you can with that hypervisor. That's where you get the best
Hmm.
performance and the best security is with that tight API driven integration. So when evaluating your change of hypervisors, if that's where you're going, that's one thing you really have to put on the top of your list is what do those integrations look like? What's the partner ecosystem look like? Because it's not just one vendor alone. You're going to have multiple vendors that are bringing value to your solution, to your infrastructure. And that goes to the vendor lock-in that we're trying to get away from with the whole Broadcom and VMware thing that's going on, and get out of that vendor lock-in.
Absolutely, absolutely. Sean, we've talked about a lot. We've talked about AI, we've talked about VMs, we've talked about windowless white vans, storing your data. Anything else that you want to touch on here?
Have we talked about Kubernetes and Kasten and NKP? And it's not just about the VMs anymore, but Kubernetes or cloud native applications are really coming into their own now. And they're really, again, because of AI applications are predominantly being deployed with containers, Kubernetes. Let's use them all. Kubernetes, cloud native, K8s, whatever it happens to be, it's your containerized applications. And being able to protect, deploy, manage, orchestrate, and protect all of your VMs, containers, or cloud native workloads is so critical. That's what Veeam and Nutanix bring to the party, is the ability to protect you and help you manage and simplify wherever you're running them.
Absolutely, absolutely. I mean, if nothing else, I hope those who are watching this truly get better grasp of like how strong of an alliance these two companies have, right, between Veeam and
Yeah.
Nutanix. Like, and we've done a lot, and it really shows. You know, the customers on both sides are always thrilled. We deliver the results that folks are looking for. And if it isn't something that you've done yet, you know, make sure that you join the Veeam and the Nutanix partner programs. We've each got our respective programs. Lots of resources in there. Sean, anything else that you want to pitch out there before we say goodbye to the fine folks watching?
Yeah, take a little dance over to Nutanix.com/partners to start your partner journey with Nutanix. It's a great ecosystem of partners that we have going here, whether you're a reseller, service provider, systems integrator, global systems integrator, wherever you fit in the partner ecosystem, we have an onboarding opportunity for you. And I know I'm speaking to my partners out there who are coming directly out of the gut punch that was the October 31st deadline from that other vendor that we mentioned. Take a look at it. It's a great stable land for you to land in to restart your partner program. So Nutanix.com/partners, that's where you start your journey.
Yep. And from the Veeam side, you'll want to look up our pro partner program. Tons of resources there. Make sure you check it out. There's going to be something you'll find useful. I can guarantee it.
Yeah.
Sean, thank you again for joining us. Thank you all for watching.